Human rights, foundations of peace, and religious freedom are only possible if we include the entire community of sentience. The foundations of peace are within the world's wisdom traditions, traditions of spiritual teachings that share the world's cultural practices socially, ecologically, and politically. There is no sharp divide in these traditions between inner and outer ecological awareness. The relationship between, on the one hand, such material applications of sustainability of soil, plant, animal, human, and habitat preservation, and on the other, interior sustainability is embodied in the human being. Whether the ethical or cultural expressions, the origins of contemplative sustainability are in the human activities of meditation and practical labor, prayer and action, teachings of care and nurturance. Foundations of Peace includes the ecological teachings of the wisdom traditions, and a theme that recurs in them, that as we come to be better stewards of our inner environments, we come to be better stewards of our sentient world as well. Sustenance of an internal state, preservation of an internal state is an essential aim of contemplative practice in the wisdom traditions. Sustainability has been implicit in spirituality since people began to wonder about our place and why we are existentially in the cosmos. To think and reflect about the meaning of life, create art as an expression of our inner world and outer observations, and ponder the mystery of life, death, and the possibility of continuing life in some form after death are expressed and sometimes unspoken forms of spiritual sustenance in cultures around the world. The term and practice of mindfulness is employed a great deal during the present time period, as if it was a new theory to help bring meaning into our lives. Yet the relationship between the peaceful practice of mindfulness and sustainability has been the root of a growing tree, the tree symbolically as foundational spiritual practice globally since before recorded literary traditions. To be in the presence of the source of all is to be rooted in prayerful listening and living, thus bringing forth a sustainable life. That is, a life that does not cause harm to oneself or one's circle, be it in any sentient form. I would include several of the Native American nations for whom water, earth, and air are also sentient. The Blackfoot Nation, when greeting another member of the nation, instead of saying hello, asks, "How are the connections?" These connections encompass an interrelated circle, interbeing with each other, like a tree, which even in death nourishes life around its home, spreading its nutrients in gift waves underground, a sustainable life lived mindfully, causing ripples of health environmentally through compassion to all forms of being. Even if economically, we as a species with our sister and brother species can live sustainable, qualitative lives if we included the consideration of our terrestrial harmony in our business plans and applications. Civil society, consumers themselves do have the power to demand that businesses be accountable in inventing, making, and sustaining sustainable products. Earth's biological systems have no surplus. Since governments and businesses on their own cannot be trusted to self-regulations, citizens have to come to the forefront of moral responsibility. We have natural capital that is still untapped. which can produce energy, food, and products that do not harm the environment and the communion of sentience. The point is that there is no separation in practice. One cannot be peaceful some of the time or in certain activities. To make peace sustainable, one is mindful as spiritual practice, be it individually or collectively, country by country. Divisions are for people who are not coming from a position of self-understanding and analysis, but from a hierarchical system conditioned by unexamined subjective judgment or certain prejudices of a particular culture and time. I cannot segregate people or think that I am better than other species, because that kind of segregated belief system only leads to abuses of power. The earth body is interconnected, a web so harmonized that without examining our priorities through lenses of health, well-being, and sustainability, we are exterminating species that have killed our own and in the process caused mass pollution and unlivable habitats around the world, as we view every day. The wisdom traditions play a beneficial role in helping us to make choices scientifically, and also affect the way science is practiced. Peacefulness can be a secular practice, enriched by the spiritual traditions, without necessarily following a cultural belief system. One can reap the benefits of the wisdom of deep thinkers and sages without adhering to the cultural blinders of a particular place and time. There were many yogis in ancient India, for example, who never doubted the validity of the caste system, a system that denied millions of people basic human rights. However, these yogis also developed practices of mindful awareness on the effects of diet, emotional balance, and trainings, increasing serenity, that are beneficial to us without taking on the injustices of the rest of their Vedic social belief system. I cannot bring myself to conclude with an overly optimistic symbol or ending. I have been brought down by too much social and environmental miseries and disasters, extinctions and war, to be able to hope for too much. However, I can symbolically share in the symbol of the weeping willow tree and hope that we individually and as stewarding societies live that symbolism. The weeping willow mourns the loss of children to international famine and war, of sea creatures to plastic and pollution, of butterflies as cheap decorations, or whales for unnecessary tantalizing flesh food and oil. In China and ancient Babylon, the weeping willow was a tree of magic and healing, most probably because its bark contains salicylates, which work as curative, relieving pain and healing. May we consider our losses, be sorrowful, grieve, and be changed into a sentience that lives not to harm.